We got hards on. We're going to the end.
It's the worst time of my life. It's the mid-season break because for some reason, actually no, I was going to be actually a little bit inconsiderate there and be like, for some reason these guys can't keep just constantly traveling the world, uprooting their lives, all of the mechanics, just never seeing their families again. Just I was going to be like, come on guys, it's not that deep. Get on your first class flight. I'm sure most of the engineers are flying economy, but get on your flight. They're probably making good money. They need to fly economy. What am I saying here? Basically, it's the mid-season break, and therefore I'm just twiddling my thumbs. Nothing to do. I'm playing the F1 game just to feel something, anything, and I finally found something for me to do, which is to rank all the drivers mid-season. I'm sure you've seen other F1 related people who actually have a bit more reputation than me talk about it. But let me tell you something. Theirs were wrong. Like, I don't know what they were. I didn't watch those videos. But I know they were probably wrong, and I know you probably raged. Right? Now, at the very least, you're probably going to find mine wrong, but you won't rage, because once you hear my opinions, you're going to start believing in facts. My facts. And I said facts there. Anyway, here we go. It's from 20 to 1. That would make sense. There's no secret for Joe. So I guess Oliver Behrman did drive this year, but I'm not ranking him. And if I did, he'd be near the bottom because I actually think very overrated. Speaking of people like that, it's kind of crazy that you can just secure a drive when you've not even finished the season yet. These decisions don't even get made at the end of the season. This kid could not score a single another point in F2 this season. It's possible, but he signed up to Haas already. That is crazy to me. But anyway, we're going from 20 to 1. And if you've ever listened to one of these before, some of these are not surprising. The person I have in dead last place, you should too, it's Sergio Perez. It's your friendly neighborhood Checo, right? This isn't a shock. This is all pound for pound, right? So this is like pound for pound, how bad are you doing? If it otherwise, we've already got a table, you could just refer to that and that's the order, right? But this is like, given your scenario, your experience, your machinery behind your bum, right, what are you putting together? And Sergio Perez is putting together a sweet hot fuck all, right? And I'm not impressed. It don't impress me much. It doesn't impress much people. Most importantly, Red Bull, who have to deal with it. He's had 4 podiums this year. His teammate has had 16, right? 7 wins, 9 podiums. He has had 2 DNFs, which I haven't gone back into that much detail, so I don't know if they were his fault, not his fault, but I know he was spinning a lot in qualifying, a lot of bad qualifying, because he's been out-qualified by Logan Sargent, who's out of a seat, and driving in a Williams. I should have said driving in the Williams first, because that's the key detail there. It's not good enough. I'm not happy with it. And if I'm not happy, like I said earlier, God forbid me getting the feelings that are currently within Helmut Marko, because if I'm not happy, he's got to be livid. He's got to be losing his head on a daily. His blood has got to be boiling. Going up from there, I got Logan Sargent. Now, Logan's actually came leaps and bounds. It's just that where he started from was like deep in the pits of hell. So coming leap from bounds from there, you're still in hell, but now we can kind of see the surface. He's like in the Earth's mantle. He's like out of the inner core. He's like nowhere near like the crust and like life and just sort of, greener pastures. He was still rightfully fired. But he has actually improved, I feel like, a lot. And not just like the Sergio Perez thing. That's not like a reflection on Sargent, that's a reflection on Perez. But I just mean like he just seems like he's done better. Maybe his head-to-head qualifying has been better. Again, I've not got it. Actually, I think I do have that registered here. I do. Wow, I'm actually decent. I was about to say at my job. This is barely even a hobby. 11 to 4. 11 to 4. Logan didn't do Australia plus Canada, question mark, I have written down here. So I think Australia was when they only had 1 car because Williams are just the most competent team in the world. They only had 1 car, so, fuck off Logan, basically. Even though that one actually wasn't Albon's fault. So they haven't got that. That's why I think most of these are meant to add up to 17. 11 to 4 doesn't, if you paid attention in school. So you would have noticed that one. And yeah, 11 to 4, like he's still getting smashed, but I feel like he got whitewashed last year. He was like close to it. So that is an improvement in a sad way. Going up from there, I got Sargent. Sargent, much like Perez and I just said Sargent, Zhou. much like Sargent and Perez also got 2 DNFs. I remember the first season Joe came in, and I was like, this guy's actually decent. I kind of like him. I think he's low-key under the radar doing a decent job. Like, he's not just a crappy pay driver. But, like, oh my god, like, you could go every race weekend without Joe there, and it's like, no differences would be made. He never does a good job. He never does an exceptionally bad job, which, as a viewer, if you're not gonna, like, do good jobs, spin out, call safety cars. We like having Latifis around. We like having Sargents around. We like having Mazepins around. We do. Without these people, there are so many races where you get 40 laps and you're thinking, what we're staring down the barrel of a stinker, and then you just see the graphic before Crofty or anyone realizes, and you're praying it's something big. You're praying it's not just a driver like going over the chicane or something, and then the cameras cut to it, and then Crofty reacts, and then we all get hard together, and it's just great. So, Joe, I literally have zero to say about you. It's just that there was 2 people who are egregiously worse. Going up from there, we got Valtteri. He's doing a better job than Joe. I mean, what's the score here? 11-6. So not too far off what Albon's doing to Sargent in broad daylight. But, you know, he's beating him. He's doing the job. He's just in a car that's never really going to get points. Hence why he has 0. But he is above Joe, I think, in the standings. And if he's not, he's beating him in qualifying. So that's all he can really do if his car's a shit box. Going up from there, we got Magnussen. He's got 1 DNF, which is crazy because he drives like it's Mario Kart. Like, if you bump someone off the roads, like the Cooper Trooper thing, and the car will pick them back up, when in reality, they'll just be in hospital. And, you know, it's kind of not the same thing. But he's throwing banana peels and red shells and whatever. You know, he's going crazy. He is Bullet Bill. And, yeah, he's sort of sacrificing himself in his races half the time to, like, he is the table for the cutlery that is for the beautiful Danish spread. No, he's Danish. The beautiful German spread that is Hulkenberg. He kind of just has to be, you know, that guy and hold him up. That's kind of been his job, and he's like gladly done it. But the head-to-head between them is 12-4. That is really bad. That's like what Albon is doing to Sargent levels of difference. And also, Hulkenberg has 22 points. Magnussen has 5. That is also a huge gap. And pound for pound, like 22-5. Oh no, this is maths. It's 17, right? Only 17-point difference. But considering the cars they're in, that is a huge gap. Like, obviously, there are drivers with a way bigger than 17-point difference, but they're in cars that are way quicker where those gaps can happen a lot easier. So, like, for the points that Hulkenberg has managed to pick up consistently, that Magnussen just doesn't, I've got to put Magnussen this low because it's, you know, and you could argue Magnussen has actively destroyed a lot of his races in order to get Hulkenberg those points at times for the team. That being said, though, like, that ain't good enough for me. Sorry, Magnussen. Going up from there, in 15th, we've got Alex Albon. I don't think he's setting the world alight. It'll be really interesting now that Carlos Sainz has had his career just thrown in the bin, and he's now a Williams driver after leaving Ferrari. Actually, just because, wow. He is like 0 to hero to 0. But here, you know. It'll be interesting because Albon has never raced anyone good apart from Max when he had 0 confidence, or sort of just, you know, he was just, you know, he wasn't ready when he was in that Red Bull. No confidence, very nervous all the time, just lacking certain basic, you know, he was insecure. And now he's a different animal, he's a different beast. He's probably leans a bit more the other way. He's a bit cold. Sometimes he's on the radio and he's like sort of berating the team, like, come on guys, not good enough, sharpen up. Like, he's sort of trying to whip people into shape. And I'm just like, I don't like these clothes on you, Albon. It's almost like he's went to a couple classes type things. He's learnt a couple stuff, but like, yeah, it's just sort of like your mum wearing, you know, you know, remember them like big red Mickey Mouse boots that were like popular on TikTok like this year or maybe last year? You know, whatever like the weird fashion thing is. And it's just like, I don't like seeing you in that. I don't like I don't know fashion well enough to know what is actually, because obviously, like, you know, it's like seeing your mum walk in with like a green shirt on and like baggy jeans and being like, it's a brat summer. you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I don't like it when you do it though. It's like Albon's trying to be like, I'm the guy, you know, fuck you team, this and that. And it's like, you're the guy because you're beating Sargent so comfortably. Like, yeah, we get it. You are technically the number one guy and we need to put like all of our eyes and ears on you constantly for feedback in any way that we can improve this car and stuff, because technically, yeah, you were the only valuable eyes and ears we have. But, you know, that's more just situationally. And once we see like a signs now with him, we'll see if he really is the guy. Like he's kind of, you know, putting his chest out, shoulders back, and kind of saying he is now on the radio all the time. Guys, really not good enough. Come on, guys, like telling me earlier, like guys, come on, like what do you get? You know what I mean? We're going to see if that's warranted or if Sainz going to walk in and it's just going to be like he completely just loses his shit. And it's like he's like crashing and spinning out because there's actual pressure again. Because that was the whole thing. Like his quality has never been in question. It's like, can he apply it? Can he you know, pressure makes diamonds, or it makes just complete rubble with Albon. So it's like when that pressure is actually now back. Not that he didn't have pressure coming back into the sport. There was still pressure there, but like, you know, a real competent teammate, if he will, you know, how he'll do, will be interesting. A lot of talk there for Albon. He has had 3 DNFs as well, which, you know, those are going to be more points out there for him. Going up from there, we've got Ocon. The guy's not even got the seat of the team he's currently in anymore, which seeming, you know, Monaco honestly has knocked him down a bunch of places here because it was just kind of crazy. And honestly, just also bias. I'm not like these other people, right? Other people have biases against a driver, and they won't say they have a bias, but they'll put them a little bit low in their list, and it makes people annoyed. It makes people go, why are you putting my driver who I actually thinks had a decent season so low down? And it's like, if you just say, oh, it's biased, I actually don't like them that much. They'll be like, oh, okay, I disagree with you, but like, at least I know that now. I don't have to sort of have conspiracy theories about that. I don't really like Ocon anyway, so I'm always going to put Ocon low down, but also he has got 5 points. Gasly has got more. He is beating Gasly though in qualifying 11-6, but like ultimately the team fired him, so I feel like I'm more than warranted enough to say yeah, he's had a worse season than Gasly. Gasly I've put just above him. He's on 6 points. He's had 2 DNFs and it did not start. Ocon's had just the 1 DNF, so he's had like 2 extra bad things go his way, and he's got more points. That's the way I'm looking at it. And Gasly has been let go, for lack of a better term. Going up from there, I got Stroll in 12th. He's got 24 points. His teammate has 49. The gap isn't actually amazing. I don't think that's because Stroll has done much to improve. Stroll is just Stroll now, and this is what Stroll will be every season. This is Stroll's ceiling. He is at it. I just think Alonso has sort of lost a bit of a step this season. I think we've all seen that. Let's not lie. That's why I think the gap's a little bit closer. I kind of just feel like there's been people better than Stroll. I've not really got much to say on Stroll, so that's what I want to say. Going up from there in 11th, I've got Daniel Ricciardo. He's slowly climbing up this table, and by the end of the season, he'll probably break the top 10. But he had a bad start, a little bit shaky. And I think it also hasn't helped that, once again, he has a teammate that people don't give credit for how good they are. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend. I'm not like he's delusional. Because, oh my God, there is no single more delusional fan base than Daniel Ricciardo's. And this is from someone who, Daniel Ricciardo's in my top 3 drivers, right? In terms of the ones I like. But, oh my God, it is a good laugh. I'm not someone who can watch stand-up comedy. I don't find it funny, right? But if I want to chuckle, if I want to have a belly laugh, a good old chortle, right? I'll just read some Daniel Ricciardo nonsense on my timeline about how he's this and that, and why he actually looks like this and why he deserves the seat and this and that. And it's like, no. Or the whole McLaren situation. I didn't know people were trying to spin that to be a thing that, like, apparently, like, it's crazy. The sort of fan fiction turns to things people are writing now. It's like if people started to actually believe the fan fiction they were writing. People started to think that Harry Potter 9/11 fan fiction, they started to believe it out. That's actually a part of history. That's kind of what it feels like. People are starting to believe these lies they've told them. It's crazy, right? But anyway, I like Daniel Ricciardo. And I'm not one of those people trying to pretend like the McLaren thing, whatever. But I also always said in that moment is that, yeah, the gap looks huge, but I think people also underrating how good Lando was in terms of how, like, people always saying, oh, Daniel was just so slow and far back. But maybe Daniel was slow, yeah, but not as slow as you think, just because Ricciardo, it's just because Norris is so quick. Now, people, I don't think, give Tsunoda enough credit for actually being good at driving a car. They just go, oh, Tsunoda is the guy who gets angry and shouts on the radio and is hot and cold. And it's like, but he's not though. But he hasn't been that for a while. But he's always actually consistently like 11th or 10th or 9th. Like he's always consistently in there. And he shouts on the radio. And guess what? They all shout on the radio, basically. And it's like, yeah, he had that moment early season where he dive bombed his teammate and stuff. But like, Tsunoda's really good. Like he is really good. And like, they just considering the people they've given, like it is completely warranted and fair if he got offered that seat. He never will, but if he did, it is fair and based off what he's done this season. And that's basically what I'm trying to say is how good Tsunoda is, I think, has made Daniel Ricciardo look worse, because there was always going to be that learning curve. And because Tsunoda is so good, when he's like, you're trying to learn and the guy you're against is like, doing a good job, it just really pushes your face in the mud for how bad of a job it looks like you're doing. But I think he's found the ropes now. And I also think there's been a bit of bad luck for Daniel. It's like sometimes when he's having a good weekend, he gets put on a shit strategy. Like multiple times that's happened, where it's like, he just doesn't get the points on the weekends that go well for him. Whereas Tsunoda, it has been a bit of the opposite. So I think it's also bad luck. Going up from there, I don't really want to speak too much about Alonso because I have nothing to say. He's beaten Stroll 10-7. He's got 49 points. He's having a bit of a mid-season. Going up from there, we got Carlos Sainz, Williams driver, Carlos Sainz. He's got 1 win. We're getting into the people now with wins, actually sort of the sharp end of the field. He's got 5 podiums, 1 DNF. Only difference is that Leclerc has 6 podiums. While I've got Leclerc ahead, Leclerc's higher on points a little bit. Leclerc is winning in qualifying, just though it's pretty close, 9-7 and 1-0 to Behrman, as you'd expect. I just think, is it bias again? Well, he's got an extra podium, I guess. Is that really the only reason why I did it, though? I just think I can think of more times Leclerc's been shafted than I can Sainz, and yet he's still ahead. Like, I feel like Leclerc's been shafted more and he's still ahead. So I've went for Leclerc above him. Not directly, though, because it's a bit of a Ferrari sandwich. It's kind of like a Ferrari threesome because they're all kind of Ferrari drivers at the moment. Kind of like Sainz is driving for them. Hamilton's basically contracted them, in a year or whatever. But, like, you know what I mean? He's already signed it. So they're kind of all, like, mixing. It's challenges over there or whatever. And Hamilton, first person we're going to talk about with 2 wins. That bumps you up. Yeah, the second win was because George got disqualified for a technical rule, which maybe you could call bullshit, but look, rules are rules. But 2 wins nonetheless. 4 podiums, 1 DNF. He's got 150 points. You could argue it's quite low though, because Hamilton have got 8th. And as you can see below his teammate, because I think I hold Hamilton to a high standard, and I think he should be. Yeah, he hasn't had a great first. I can't even just say first half of the season, but like more than first half of the season, where you're just going. I mean, he's losing to George in qualifying 10-7. George has also had 2 DNFs and that disqualification. Like Hamilton's above in points because George got completely knocked out of the entire race due to having an extra Evian before the race, holding that water weight or something. You know what I mean? So pretty close with those things considered. And I don't even know how much I rate George, but he's keeping it pretty close to Hamilton, so that's sort of a bit of a And you smacked him last season on all bases, so it's there. You've got the proof that you can do it, and you haven't done it so far this season. And I like Hamilton, but I got to be harsh. Like I always spoke about Leclerc, he's just above in 7th. In 6th, I have Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri is a driver I very much rate, I very much like, and I guarantee you, any other people who've been doing these lists, if you've been listening to them, I guarantee you so many people have Oscar Piastri so much higher than he should be. 1, based off recency bias. 2, based off the fact that people really rate him and his potential and the fact he's relatively new in the sport and what he can be. And they look at those things and they go, they take it too much into account. And they would put him over someone like Norris, his teammate, who's above him in the points in the same car. So that doesn't really make sense to me. The experience thing and the age thing, which is like, people act like Piastri is a full-blown fetus. Like Norris has had a lot more years in the sport, like in terms of F1. Piastri is like a year or two younger than Norris. It's not like people are acting like Norris is like 26 and Piastri is like 19 or something, or 20. It's like there's like a year or two. I think Norris is like 24 and Piastri is like 22. Like, it's not the craziest thing in the world. And like, quite simply, it looks like the last two races, Piastri's done better. But ultimately, aside from that, Norris has outqualified him this season 10-7. Very popular qualifying head-to-head I've noticed so far. 10-7 is the most popular one. Like 6 of the 10 drivers have 10-7. He's got 1 win, 8 podiums. Piastri also 1 win, but 4 podiums. He's got half the podiums. Norris is consistently ahead, as he should be. And Norris, it looks worse of a season he's having because he should be challenging way more for wins. Well, he is challenging wins, but he should have won like 3-4 races and he hasn't. He's been bottling it. So he's been bottling a driver fight he should be in, but Piastri's in the same car. You could argue Piastri should also be in a fight then for the championship at this point because he's in the car that Norris is apparently bottling it in. Piastri just is in bottle job situations, but again, it's also the skill to put yourself in those situations where you then have to bottle it. Norris has at least done that more, so I've got Norris above him. Directly, by the way, not by positions. I've then got Norris in 5. Norris has 199 points, Piastri has 167. I think that's completely fair. I think there's going to be a lot of lists where Piastri is like 2, which is just crazy and has came out of nowhere and is just due to the fact that people love Piastri. I like Piastri as well. In 4th place, I've got Russell, which breaks my heart. I like Russell. He is a meme. I like him more as a meme when he's not trying to be. Like when he's up on the car doing the celebration, I like it slightly less. When he's just sort of in the driver's parade looking around and just sort of walking around like he's on RuPaul's Drag Race, it's just a lot more fun because it's just a bit more candid. I like George a little bit more that way. My whole thing with George Russell is his teammates with Hamilton. That's the reason I don't like him, because therefore I need Hamilton to do well, so therefore I need Russell to kind of do bad because I need Hamilton to be above him for him to look like he's doing well type thing. It's a weird thing, Russell. It's kind of just a situation you find yourself in that I have to not like you, but I really want to like you kind of because you're just sort of you are something else. That phrase was made for someone like George Russell. He's got 1 win, 2 podiums with 2 DNFs and a disqualification. He's beating his teammate 10-7, 7-time world champion, 8 times if you're feeling freaky on a Friday. And that's kind of cringe. And he's got 116 points to Hamilton's 150, but he did get completely kicked out of a race. He's just been consistent. He's been in situations before where he would crumble, where he would shit his pants, and that shit has stayed inside his rectum this time. I'm going to put him 4th. In 3rd, it's pound for pound rankings, Hulkenberg. Some people put Hulkenberg 1. Chill out a little bit. You're going a bit crazy. He has got 22 points, but he's being his teammate 12-4. And a lot of those points that we're giving him credit for, like I said to Magnus's detriment earlier, but he's literally been given those points sometimes because he's had a guy completely sacrifice his entire race to just be a cork and just sit there and drive slowly on purpose to hold people up. And cut corners to drive into people's side pods to take them out of the race, to completely lift up, what's his name, Hulkenberg. It's crazy. It's like seeing, a little stage and Hulkenberg's up there dancing, you're impressed, and you're throwing roses up there, but what you can't just see below the surface is that he's on the shoulders of Magnussen, who's sweating and is hunched over, just like holding him up so he can perform. It's like, you got to take that into account. There's not a lot of other driver pairings on here where half of the team is completely in service to the other guy. So yeah, he's doing a good job. Yeah, he's outscoring his teammate, but that also needs to come into account. I put him 3rd here because ultimately he still has done a good job. He still has qualified really high at times. He still has been finishing in the top 4 like 2 races in a row, or the top 6. Whatever. I don't remember what it was. He finished like 6th, right? No right way, being where he should be. I put him there, but ultimately, a guy who I think is still incredibly underrated, and I don't know what it is, just because he's profiled as someone who's a hothead and is mid. I don't know why. He's one of those guys, people just keep calling him mid until he eventually has a teammate who they like and he beats them to. But Yuki Tsunoda is 2nd for me. He's had 1 DNF. He's got 22 points, same as Hulkenberg, and I believe that RB is more inconsistent than that Haas. I think that Haas has came leaps and bounds and has actually been one of the most consistent shit cars on the grid. And Tsunoda's on the same points. He's beating a more tricky teammate to me than Hulkenberg is. I think Ricciardo is more of a challenge than Magnussen. Especially recently, I think Ricciardo's refinding that form, and I just think even on radios, I hear him now and he's just kind of chill. He just does the job. He does it very simply. He doesn't do anything crazy, but he qualifies good. He races good consistently, and what is a very mid car this season for them. Sometimes it's decent, sometimes it's awful. I just think Tsunoda is incredibly underrated as a driver at the moment. And I don't know how long it's going to take for people to finally give him his flowers, but eventually I'm sure they will come. I think if you chucked him back in a team with you chucked him in a team with Ocon, Gasly, all these people, I think he's the top of that. Out of all those drivers, I think he's the top. I don't think he's Piastri. I don't think he's Norris. But he's not Piastri. He's not Norris. He's not Leclerc. He's not Russell. He's not as refined yet. Not Verstappen, obviously. Not Hamilton. Not Alonso. Well, Alonso's kind of lost a bit of a step. You put him with a teammate with Alonso, with a Sainz. I think an Albon, all these people, he for me, you would be surprised, I think. Alonso, again, it's hard to say. He's sitting next to Stroll, and he's obviously losing a tiny bit of reaction time and stuff. I think he'd have a good go against Alonso. I think he'd put up a good fight against Sainz in same machinery. I think he's being a bit underrated, and obviously I'm projecting that. I have no idea how he'd do against any of these drivers. He might be shit, but that's just the feeling I'm getting. These are all just guesswork, so let's not get annoyed about it. And number one's Verstappen. He's got 7 wins, he's got 9 podiums, he's got 1 DNF. His car hasn't been the best car for so many races, realistically, and everyone else is just capitulating and incompetent. And they haven't got the team Verstappen's got, they ain't got the pit stops Verstappen's got, they haven't got the mentality Verstappen's got, basically, because they've got the skill, some of them, to be doing better in certain races, but Verstappen just knows. He keeps a cool head, he knows what he's doing, he does the right thing. What can you say? And I'm not one of these guys who likes putting the guy who's top of the driver standings top, and I usually try and battle against that, but especially with how decent some of the other cars have been, and the fact that Hamilton's the only other guy with more than 1 win on here. In this season and how it's gone, he's also beating his awful teammate 16-1. Don't know where that 1 came from. That must have been when Verstappen was gaming too much the night before or something, because apparently that's something that affects his races. But he's got 277 points. His teammate has 131, more than 100 less. He's first by 78 points, I think, and he shouldn't be first by anywhere near that much. So Verstappen is first. It kills me to say it. You can see my whole demeanour has changed. It pains me. But that is the case. I'm boiling. I've worked up a sweat a little bit. It's a humid summer at the moment in the Great British Isles. So that's all I've got to say. We've got Harsman going to the end. Cannot wait for races to come back, because that's what I need. More than oxygen. More than life itself. I'm being a bit dramatic, but I do need the races. We've got Harsman going to the end. Thank you. I'll see you there.